Hi, I'm Darron Anley from Siren Craft Brew. I'm the founder here in Finchampstead. So Siren started in 2013. I've been a long-term beer fan, probably since before it was illegal for me to be so, but I got turned on by some of the exciting flavours coming out of Brewdog and a couple of others, contemporaries around that sort of 2008, 2009 time. And for me, it really kind of sparked a bit of a huge interest in, whereas I'd run businesses before, the chance to actually create something and make something. The businesses I've been involved with before were all about buying other people's products and selling them on to corporate companies. And I was really excited by seeing whether I could create something and make something. The first beer we brewed was Maiden. That is a 11% barley wine that went into various barrels: Madeira, rum, bourbon, Armagnac and tequila, if I recall. And the intention of it was to try and look at brewing a fresh batch in a year's time after that beer has spent that time in the barrels, taste everything with the help of some people from whiskey and the wine world. We were then going to try and create a blend that was better than the sum of the parts. And if that continued, we then refill the barrels up with fresh Maiden and continue that. And it's been an ongoing project, and actually we've now got about 8,000 litres of that beer spread out amongst these barrels in this room. And it was a big, bold beer for our first beer that we ever produced, rather than doing something like a pale ale. But for me, it was important to do something that I wanted to set a statement to my head brewer, who was the only person in my team at the time. But I wanted to be able to say to him, look, I want to take risks. I want to not be afraid of taking chances. No one had done anything quite like this back in 2013. And I really wanted to set that scene to say, we're going to do it. Let's give it a go. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We'll learn something along the way. And yeah, for me, that's a big part of the ethos for Siren here. So probably the best answer to that is brewers from the US. As I said earlier, Brewdog are definitely what started it, but actually it was then an exploration over to the US. I actually went to San Diego before I started the brewery to really immerse myself in the culture there and really find out what they were doing. So I got a lot of inspiration from some of those early guys, such as Pizza Port and Stone. Not really. My dad drinks a fair bit of it, more so probably now because of what I do. But no, it's not really. It's not in my family. That's for sure. My parents, I've been lucky, have been very, very supportive, and whilst they don't come from entrepreneurial backgrounds, they've been really supportive in helping me through my whole life to this point, really. Well, that's always a good question, I think. I mean, it's hard to say because there are a lot of breweries putting out some amazing beers right now. I think we just like to focus on doing what we do as well as we can. I mean, it starts with what's in the glass and making sure that the product that we make is exactly what we want it to be. We don't ever intend to brew something to the idea of a budget or trying to fit a consumer's taste. We're generally inspired by flavours from other culinary places, geographies, or other just general ideas. And whenever we look at something that we're going to brew, it's always about what do we want that end product to be like, as opposed to anything else. So yeah, I mean, our inspiration is going to come from everywhere. I don't think that necessarily sets us apart, but it's about that focus on quality ingredients and making sure that it's about the end beer really that we're looking for. Going back to what I just said earlier, I think it starts and ends with what's in the glass, and it's having that constant, passionate focus to make sure that the beer that you want to create is what ends up in the glass, that the quality, the consistency, the ingredients you choose are all there. So for me, that's a massive part of it. Our success is down to the people that work here as well. You know, we try to tell stories. A lot of our naming and our branding is about telling stories, and luckily we've got a bunch of really excited and passionate people that really enjoy that part of it and enjoy the product that we're putting out. We were rated the second best new brewery in the world in our first year, which was a great accolade to have. And I think that was definitely a sign of we're doing something good. I don't think really we ever feel like we've ever made it, and we definitely haven't made it. But the fact that we get so many people coming out to see us at the brewery, really enjoying the experience that we put out here, that we try to offer, and you know, the hospitality that we try to bring people, and the fact they want to come. I think that for me is probably the best sign of success, I think. The thing for me about beer is it's such an of the moment experience. So I don't tend to have a favourite beer. I have things that I like at different times for different moods, and if I was to look at things that have made me stop, most of the things from Burning Sky always make me stop and think, that's amazing. I had a beautiful can of Petit Saison the other day, which was just beautiful. If I was going to pick something for myself from our brewery, from Siren, I would pick Every Minute Matters or Every Second Matters. It's a style we're playing around with at the moment, and it harks back to that kind of old school of adding a bit of bitterness but trying to bring in a bit of juice to it as well. And I'm finding it such a really enjoyable drink right now. That's a great question, actually. We crowdfunded for our canning line a couple of years ago, and actually it was a great opportunity for me to meet a lot of people that were interested in investing in Siren, and so I got a lot of feedback from that, which was really great. I think one of the things that generally came back as a standout comment was, "You guys don't do things by halves," and for me that really encapsulates what I want us to make. You know, we do esoteric and really unusual and interesting beers, as well as very crushable and drinkable beers. And I love that people recognise that they don't have to like everything we do, but they're really excited by the fact that they know we're going to give it a really good shot. So we do a coffee range every year called the Barista Project, where we take 4 beers across a whole range of styles, proving that coffee doesn't have to just go in a stout. It can go in a sour, or it could go in the beer you're taking, which is affogato, which is kind of like an ice cream inspired beer. And not everyone loves coffee, but actually the fact that every year we put this project on and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger is really warming to me as a brewery, and that's really one of the things that I love about what people think they like about Siren. It's definitely getting much better. Wokingham itself has had a few new places open up, which has been fabulous to see. Berkshire, when we started, had very little in the way of free houses, so we had a very limited amount of places that we could sell, but it's great. We're starting to see restaurants, small independent restaurants taking on our stuff, and other breweries from our area taking on their stuff. There's a few independent bottle shops, so it's really starting to develop, which is great to see. We get a lot of traction from people coming locally to our tap yard here. Obviously not at the moment, but we do normally. So it's becoming quite a cool and vibrant scene, I think. Oh, bottle or can? Again, it's context, actually. If I was to say Soundwave in a can or Soundwave in a bottle, I would go with the can, because I think you've got all that space for that printing, and it looks beautiful. And I know because we've done all the testing that tastes exactly the same. But you can't beat a bottle for that pure premium luxury side of things. So our 375 mils that we put our barrel aged stuff into, you can't beat that. So, but it's all about context, really. So for me, it's not about size. When I got into this business, the thing that really got me excited about the business was the creativity, the playing around, and the idea that I could take people on a journey about what beer could be. So we didn't want to be, I don't want Siren to be the Soundwave brewery or the Lumina brewery, where that takes up 90-95% of our volume and doesn't allow us to play around with all the other stuff, like this sort of the barrels that we have here. So it's not about size, it's about trying to make sure we grow the business to a sustainable level that can support what we're doing and still allow us to keep that creative side. We don't have any plans to crowdfund is probably the easiest answer. When we did our crowdfunding in 2018, I was asked, will it be something you'll regularly do? And we had a very specific set of things we were aiming to achieve, which was the canning line, the massive tanks and lab facilities and all that kind of stuff. And we've done that, and that's allowed us to really move on to our for that next platform, next stage of growth. The only other thing that might we might ever go back to the market for, to our customers, our consumers for, is if we decide we're looking to build a purpose-built facility. There is the opportunity to do that on this industrial estate where we could build a 50,000 square foot brewery with an amazing tap room and an experience centre and all that kind of stuff, which would be great. We probably couldn't do it with our own money, but it's not something that we're actively pursuing right now. We've got too many other things to be thinking about. We've collaborated with a lot of people, a lot of UK breweries, a lot of US breweries, breweries all throughout Europe, including Dugas and Omnipolo and Garage Project in New Zealand. Recently with Green Cheeks, where we did the beer I was telling you about earlier. We've got a long list of people that we're looking to collaborate with, but obviously right now we can't do anything. So it's a bit of a challenging time for that sort of thing. But yeah, there are a few good ones coming up in the pipeline, so just have to keep an eye out. Yeah, we've not looked at musicians. There have been a few things that we've had our eye on to get involved with in the past. We were looking to do a project last year with a film magazine company. We had a really great little concept. Unfortunately, we got too busy and it didn't happen. We've collaborated with the Tate for their Van Gogh exhibition last year. We created a really cool beer that was inspired by the paintings of Van Gogh. And we have a project that we've got, it's been on our roster for the last 3 years. It will happen next year, and that's our chefs project, where we're looking to collaborate with 4 different chefs, create a beer that's inspired by whatever they're inspired by, and the idea would be at the end of it, we'd be looking to bring it together into one big gala dinner where they get to cook and pair their beer with a really cool dish. Are we still creating a style of beer that we were at the beginning? I think we've developed. The industry's developed, consumers' tastes have developed. We've developed our techniques and our abilities and what works and where we want to take beers. We're still brewing the same styles. We're still brewing lots and lots of eclectic, interesting, different styles of beers, along with the IPAs and the pale ales and the dry hop sours. So I think the answer is yes, we are still brewing those same styles. Hopefully along the way we've learned some things and we're bringing them to you in a better shape than perhaps they were 7 years ago. So obviously right now with COVID, the hospitality industry is facing a pretty huge challenge, to be honest. The beer industry itself, I think, a lot of people ask me the question, is it getting too saturated? And whilst it's grown from, I think we were about number 1,200 to 2,700, somewhere around that number of brewers now. There are definitely a lot more brewers, there's a lot more competition, but I think the great thing is actually what we're seeing is there's growing interest. People love purchasing from small independent brewers, companies, full stop actually. They're interested in the stories that these guys are telling and what they're bringing to the market. And I still see that as something that's growing. So I think really our biggest challenge at the moment is in making sure that our proposition is clear and we can make that understandable to the customers who are coming in to try our beer, and just be consistent with that. It's a good question because I think for us we just very much focus on what we're doing and how we're growing and what we're putting into our beer and our projects that we're running. I would love to be in a position where we're opening up bars for next year, so for us that would be quite a big thing. But outside of that, we've got a number of big projects that we're planning to release that I think are exciting and interesting, and hopefully everybody else will too.